Now, if we can bring in Ovidu Bagdasar, who is going to, if I just pull up my program or the title there, going to talk to us about interactive teaching and social learning in a computational classes. So Ovidu, when you're ready, over to you.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm very happy to be in this event. Congratulations to the organizers for setting all this up. I think it's a great idea. I'll try to start with my talk. So I'd like to present some items related to the COVID adaptations for my computational mathematics course. I'm teaching this course at the University of Derby for a number of years. I think it went very well before COVID. And then I felt that during COVID, I wanted to make some adaptations, especially in terms of interactive learning and also social learning. I wanted to give some mottos as well to this session, to my session. I think especially in this course, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And because my class is quite big, I have lots of students who feel demotivated. Most of them hate mathematics. This is their only maths course that they have to take as computing students. And I try to make this experience enjoyable and valuable for their studies. So I have to fight an uphill battle, and that's why I try to provide all the support I can. And in terms of adaptations, I improved my interactive note-taking with OneNote, with the OneNote Notebook. Then at the university, we had a training provided to all staff, the best of blends. And this is where I've realized the value of social learning. And to improve social learning in my class, I decided to use live polls in the Blackboard Collaborate. I've been using recordings before as well. Also, this year, I refined and deployed numeracy training courses, which are self-study resources, because I had questions about Pythagoras theorem and about lots of basic things. I have students who come back into education after 15, 20 years, and they try to get a career change. And I wanted to have like 10% of their grade is 2 numeracy training courses developed in collaboration with another Canadian company. And also this year I started to use peer learning in MS Teams. So I'll show you some information about how this worked. In our best of blends model adopted at the university, each student was provided with 3 hours on site, but all the teaching for my course took place online. Now, a quick presentation of my class. This is the only maths module for year 1 computing students. I have to cover lots of topics like set theory, logic, linear algebra, vector operations, matrix operations, a bit of complex numbers, some elements of graphs, some number theory. My class numbers, I've seen the class size is relative, so I've seen the classes, bigger classes in earlier presentations. But this was a class of 150 plus students I had to deal with on my own. NSS feedback when I picked up the course in 2012 was about 50%. I was able to bring that up to 90% and above by preparing a textbook, e-assessment in Blackboard until now, but this year I'm going to move on a different platform, also provided by a technology partner. I adopted open book assessments available multiple times, and I had to develop about 800 questions at the start, but I think it paid off in the long run. And also I've been using, since it was available, binoctor recordings and math jokes on a regular basis. I think this seemed to improve student experience on a year-by-year basis. I think we had good engagement, very high overall satisfaction, but now I had to adapt these things for COVID. To just give you a flavor of my cohort, I have feedback like this in mid-semester feedbacks, post-exam feedback. So I sucked at maths. I was barely scrapping a C, but now I enjoy it. So I want to make my class enjoyable. And I think engagement for me is the key. And now the first improvement was interactive note teaching and Blackboard Collaborate polls. I have my teaching materials and recordings available in Blackboard as well, but I've also set up a OneNote notebook. And I have weekly sessions. You can see I have one big lecture and then 5 tutorial groups. The first lesson I learned during this pandemic year was when I gave my first lecture. Charles mentioned before that we should say hello to the students. This is exactly what I've done. And then I've received like in the chat, like 70, 80 instant messages with notification sounds. Hello, how are you? Good morning, and so on. So the first lesson I learned was to mute chat notifications. Then I managed to get two PhD teaching assistants who helped me set up polls. And with these polls, I was able to get the students on board, such that in some revision sessions, so I divided the course into 4 parts, and for each part I have a computer-based exam, a computer-based test, and I have a revision session for each of these tests. And when I take the tests together with the students, I have many questions so that students get the same type of exam, the same type of test, but with different questions every time. So same content, but different numbers. So they are algorithmically generated. And this means that I can solve the test with them, and then they can take it again and again, and then this is how they get their final grade. And with the aid of computer-based polls, I was Blackboard Collaborate polls, I was able to get 0 no responses. So 100% engagement in quite a few classes. And this was engagement in each of the questions of the test. And then, of course, this was with promises with biscuits and so on. But I think in terms of engagement, it went really well. Then I was shocked to see students' feedback through blogs, through official blogs of the university. I had a student, I didn't know about his other activities, but he popped this link into my lecture chat. And this was his write-up about his experience on my class. And I felt great. And then I realized how the students felt engaged by what I was doing. So I think this was really good. I will provide all these links. All these links can be found in the slides. Now, the second problem I tried to solve during this pandemic year, I started to work on this earlier, was about numeracy skills courses. Numeracy is the ability to understand and work with numbers. It's key for problem solving and employability. And I think we don't normally deal with this problem much in our mathematics classes. However, I think there is a big problem with the lack of math support for the students not taking STEM courses. And it seems that only about 16% of the adults are numerate. And I think this is a real problem for the society. And I've been working with a Canadian-based company called Vreta to develop numeracy training courses for all the students and staff in our university. And 2 of those courses are deployed in my computational mathematics class. So the courses D1 and D2. And these courses have a modular structure based on topics. And each of the topics is made of diagnostic assessment, upgrading modules, which are interactive videos with tasks, and then summative assessment. And then based on this, I give them a grade. And especially students coming back to education found them really beneficial, and the pass rate increased. Normally, I had pass rate in my course 85%, and now this went up to 90%. So I was happy with the outcome in my class. But now these courses, so I can use dashboards to give students feedback only using three of the elements in the dashboard. I can tell the engagement. The engagement was 174 students out of 173. So I had engagement higher than 100%. Now the secret is that this was students left on the course. I started with 180 this year, and 7 vanished due to W14s and so on. But I can see that the engagement is very high. Then I can see how many students do really well in the course. So they completed all the summatives with a grade above 80%. And also this year we developed digital badges with our Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching. And I awarded more than 400 badges for the completion of these numeracy courses across the university. And I've got my badge too. You can see how they look like. And I think this is great for digital employability. And in order to support the university as well, we developed 10 numeracy training courses and also another course based on basic numeracy skills. This is now taken by NASBET, the National Association for School-Based Teachers. So they take a similar course with 6,000 users. We integrated these courses with Blackboard. They can be deployed in modules, in programs as well. And it's also available through the Maths Hub. And the last improvement I'd like to mention is social learning with MS Teams. MS Teams allows like social media, like communication, instant communication. I can tag my class and they all get the notification. We have feedback from students that many of them don't use email too much, and they found Teams to work better. I can have focused communication. I can have channels for each of the test components, for each of the assessments. And this is how I can communicate live with the students. The downside is that I had to add 180 students manually, but I think it was worthwhile. I could collect feedback from students as well very effectively. I could post announcements and be sure that the students read them. And yes, I think the real benefit of this aspect, and the reason why I want to keep it from next year onwards as well, is that I realized that I've invited all students to post their questions, because the questions were automatically generated. I asked them to post questions, and before I could see, so a question a student posted a question at 9 p.m. Then by the morning, there were already a few answers, and my single contribution was this thumbs up. So like I said, very, very well. Thank you very much for supporting each other. And yes, I think this worked very well. Yeah, so these were my takeaways. I think these approaches went really well this year. I'm going to keep them all. And I just like to mention that this week I've met my first student from this course. So I was going to the university and someone stopped me on the street saying, "Hi, thank you very much for the sessions this year. I'm your student." I said, "Very nice to meet you." I've never seen any of the students because no one showed the camera during the course. But yes, I think feedback has been very good. And I think setting up the collaboration with Vreta was an institutional effort, but I think it will pay off in the long run. We already had more than 1,500 students going through this numeracy training, and I expect to have many more. So thank you very much for having me. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Now let's try to mute so that I can actually clap there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I noticed there that the most important feedback, the comments on you making jokes, which I always think is quite important. But I noticed that in your student feedback comments there at the end. I haven't seen any questions in the Q&A, but interestingly, one of your students is here. Ovidiu, and they're just reinforcing that you're great. They've only sent that comment to us as panelists, but I've taken that opportunity to pass that on as well. So there's a bit of real-time feedback for you.
Thank you very much.
So there are no questions there, but Ovidiu, if it's okay, what we'll do is we'll take a short break now, get colleagues to pop things into the chat, and I'm sure that you'll be very happy to respond to that, along with James as well. But I think thank you both for your talks at this point.